Good afternoon and welcome back to the latest edition of our entertainment show, where we look at upcoming TV series and movies debuting here in Ireland this upcoming month. And one of the most popular TV series, we already have seen four seasons of it now. It has a sort of a sumptuous sort of relationship. It's been on and off and sort of stopped and then got back on again. And we're talking about the devil's own son himself, the one and only Lucifer. It's back again. We were glad to say it's back for season 5. It's airing actually tomorrow, the 28th of May, on channel Netflix UK here in Ireland. And we're delighted to be joined by one of the stars of the show. She's been a regular from day one. She's appeared in 78 episodes of the show, so she's pretty much a sort of cornerstone of the franchise. The one and only Lesley Ann Brandt, and she plays the character Mazikeen. Lesley, I don't know if I got those pronunciations right, but I give
Mazikeen.
Mazikeen. I give it my best stab as well. Lesley, I suppose Lucifer, what a roller coaster ride it has been since, I suppose, the last 6 years. I suppose from all the joys of season 1 and the sort of seasons that came, then to the actual dismay that it was all coming to an end so soon, and then it was almost like the 7th day in terms of Jesus, that you were reincarnated.
We rose again.
You rose again from the dead, as sort of such. Tell me, have you ever seen anything like it, that the power of the people actually brought a show back to life?
No, I mean, I've seen the power of the people in my country of South Africa, but not in terms of a TV show. No, I had never experienced this before, and it was unbelievable when it was happening, and then so wonderful when we got the outcome that everyone had fought so hard for. And obviously we're so grateful to Netflix for, you know, not just saving the show, but then introducing our show to 167 countries, which I think that's how many countries has Netflix. So we just gained a whole new set of eyeballs on the show, and it expanded our fandom even more so. So it's been a wild ride.
And Lesley, you mentioned that sort of wild ride, and sometimes during the seasons, when things are probably in dispute and maybe not knowing and then uncertainty, and obviously as an actor or an actress, you all have to make a living, but the people that started off the franchise in season 1, day 1, from the very first episode, to find them all still there come season 5, that's very rare in terms of long sort of drawn out TV series, especially over 6 seasons. Someone obviously goes their own way after season 2, someone gets other sort of projects, someone's died or killed off, but the sort of
we all signed 7-year deals, so it's not as easy to walk away, let me tell you that. But I know the general consensus is people wanted to be there, you know, to get a show picked up on a network, which is different to a streaming service where you straight out order, you know, we'll take 10 episodes or 8 episodes. I mean, we started off on network television on Fox, and then you know, to have that show, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there in network TV. It's very much based on ratings, and we weren't really getting a lot of love in terms of marketing for the show there. And then that all changed when we moved to Netflix. You know, I don't know, the marketing got sexier. We got billboards in Times Square. We were shown a little bit of love because we are, you know, we do very well for the Warner Brothers studio internationally. Our numbers, I just don't think translated here locally in the US market, which was more of what the network was concerned with. And yeah, just, you know, to be able to see it from beginning to end is a blessing, and it's rare. It's rare. Rarely do shows get to make 6 seasons now.
And Lesley, you mentioned that, and I suppose in terms of US network, I suppose when your primary sort of male lead is in sort of an English actor, and dare I say it, Tom Ellis, he's Welsh. Oh, he'd be very offended by that sort of comment. Very offended. But when you sort of come across with that sort of strong accent and sort of strong sort of tone that he has, I suppose it makes sort of sense that it would appeal more to an international audience. Normally the likes of Americans like the leads to be.
I don't think it had anything to do with Tom being, a foreigner. I think it just had more to do with the network didn't quite know what to do with our show. It's a quirky show. It had this weird tone, and we weren't quite a serialized show. We weren't quite a comic book show. We were all things, humor, drama, some action. And I think that it made sense for us to eventually land somewhere at Netflix, which gives you a lot more freedom. You're not constrained by network rules. We certainly are not beholden to advertisers anymore. It's a different ball game. Scenes can breathe a little bit because we're not cutting to commercial. So it just overall, it just like feels different, more maybe cinematic, I would say. Yeah.
And Lesley, do you think maybe that she filled the void that was probably left over from the ending of, say, TV sort of those sci-fi series like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Angel, David Boreanaz, those sorts of shows when they ended maybe a decade ago or something, that there was a void, sort of that fan base left empty or something, and you sort of came along and started recruiting an awful lot of that fan base?
Well, yeah, I think that if you are interested in those sorts of supernatural shows, that you would naturally gravitate to a show that maybe has those elements in it. But, our audience is so diverse. We have the purists, the comic book purists. We have, fans of shows like Buffy, and, even fans of like Alias, those really action sort of like led shows, to then audiences who've never like read the comic books, just happen to stumble upon it and find it funny, and then get sucked in to all the other stuff that the show brings and offers. That's one thing I'm really proud of, actually, is our audience is just such a wide range. It's like young kids to really like older people, and there's something in it for everyone.
And Lesley, in terms of your own character, Mazikeen, I'll get it right. I'll get it right before the end of the sort of show. It's just the pronunciation. Tell me about her evolution through the first 4 seasons, and maybe what's in store for her in season 5 for our Lucifer fans here in Ireland. What sort of journey does she go on?
Well, I think probably out of all the characters, hers is a journey that is really like you can progressively see her growing in a very clear way, where she starts off with on the show, she just really wants to go back home to hell. And now she's come season 5 fighting for a soul, and for someone who is raised, where she was, and as a demon, and rejected by her mother, and sort of found her family with Lucifer, comes all these different kind of layered experiences. And I'm really proud of where we find her actually in 5B. We got to see a little bit of her backstory with her mother in the first half of season 5, which is available to watch now. And where we pick up on is, she made this decision to betray Lucifer, I guess. But I think for her, it's less of a betrayal and more of just her. It's like, it's not about him. It's actually about what she needs now. As a character, she's always there for him, there for her friends. And sometimes she can be taken advantage of, or, her loyalty is not really reciprocated. And she takes issue with that. So she makes some decisions for herself at the end of season 5A. And in season 5B, which drops tomorrow, we get to see her have to figure out her relationship with Eve, which is, the character that she is in love with and like professed her love to at the end of season 4, and she was rejected. And that's a big theme for her, is how she handles rejection. So we see this character kind of fall on her face and get back up. And, you know, at the end of the season, there's a giant, big cliffhanger that affects all of the characters moving into season 6.
And Lesley, you mentioned there about shooting through the sort of pandemic. What was that like for you? I suppose, was it the only project that you were involved in terms of the pandemic? And obviously with all the restrictions, were you very much caught up in that bubble? Because obviously with COVID and everything like that, all it takes is one slip up by even an extra or something, and the whole project is shut down. And obviously people livelihoods are affected as well. So was it a very sort of challenging and emotional time for you as well as an actress?
Sure, it was really challenging. You know, as I said, yeah, we are signed in for a, you know, on contract, so it's not you can't just go and work on another show. Also, COVID added an extra layer of, you're essentially agreeing to you know, take all the precautions that is recommended. We were tested every single day, PCR and rapid. You know, all the PPE, all of the, you know, social distancing. It added a strange sort of challenge, because so much of what we love about making a television show or even a film is what happens between action and cut, but then also what happens between cut and action, which is engaging with our crew and goofing around. And, you know, and so that kind of gets taken away because we had all these zones and certain people couldn't be on set when other zones were there. And, you know, it felt kind of sterile in a weird way when we first got there, but then that changed. And we, you know, the thing about actors and this industry is it learns to adapt. And I was really proud of, you know, all of the studios and our guilds and, you know, coming together and trying to figure out a way to keep our industry working and moving, because we do, as you pointed out, employ, you know, millions of people around the world, not just locally here in the States, but, you know, look at a streamer like Netflix. They have multiple shows that shoot all over the world. They're employing a lot of people. So that, you know, economic injection into, you know, both here in Hollywood, but also America and all those other countries, I think is really important in a year that has been so financially like tough for so many people. But we managed to figure it out, and we did have positives on our show. You know, people in different zones. Rachel actually got COVID, and she's spoken about it publicly, and it just happened to, you know, she happened to be like, we happened to be going into hiatus, and so we never actually shut down ever. Okay. It just kind of all worked out, and I'm gonna put that down to having God.
God was on your side, resurrected on the 7th day.
Oh, the big man up there. My terrible Irish accent.
That's not too bad, actually, Lesley.
You know, my writing partner is Irish.
Your writing partner is Irish?
He is from Dublin. And
Dublin.
He's from Dublin. And I sent him a really funny, on my Instagram, video wishing him happy St. Paddy's Day. And I did a reading from this book he sent my son called Jamie O'Rourke and the Giant Potato.
Okay.
And he was like, this is blasphemous, this accent that you're doing. Ireland will never allow you to cross its borders.
We'll send you packing, I suppose, Lesley, in terms of that. We'll have to keep you in the north. We'll have to keep you in the north, yes. The 6 counties.
No, they came out to my Instagram. They said, oh, well, I think you've done about every Irish accent possible.
You know, you very much sound like a leprechaun there, and very much more than actually an Irish sort of person there, in very much.
Adrian is gonna kill me. He's gonna be like, "Don't embarrass us! Don't embarrass us!" on Irish radio.
It's all good. It's all good, Lesley. It's all about having a bit of humor as well, and that's what Lucifer is renowned for, as such. And tell me, I suppose, I'm just going to take you right back to the start in terms of getting involved in Lucifer from day one. And I suppose in terms of casting, you got sort of the role. How has it sort of propelled your career going forward in terms of an actress, maybe an overseas actress trying to establish herself in the United States as such? Do you think maybe it's made it so much more easier for you now to sort of breach those sort of barriers that are there? Obviously for overseas actresses and actors, sometimes they need that big project to really establish themselves in California and LA sort of scene. Is that the case, you find now that Lucifer has got you very much settled in the industry over there?
To an extent, yeah. I mean, I still see it as a stepping stone. You know, every job is like a stepping stone job. It certainly has kept me on air and introduced me to a really broad audience. A lot of fans knew me from Spartacus, which was a show for Stars that I did many years ago. But this show is certainly the biggest show that I've been a part of. And I think through my character of showing just all different sides of her and all her multi-layered sort of facets, that it does give people an opportunity to see a side of your instrument and your talent when you are consistently on air and able to tackle some of the storylines that I've been able to tackle as the actress playing her. But as I said, it's the stepping stone job to like the next job and the next thing. But what it has afforded me is being able to kind of take time to choose the next project that I want to be, you know, sort of involved with. And certainly I think our audience, like me as an actress and being a foreigner, a lot of people don't realize that I'm a foreigner. And I think it's maybe because I'm on the show with an American accent. And so it's not until I will meet people where they're like, oh wait, you're not from here, like where are you from?
Or wear the South African rugby jersey.
Yes, well, I got sent an Irish rugby jersey actually for my writing partner. I was like, I blaspheme if I wear this, like listen. But no, I am forever grateful and humbled by all the blessings that I've got just being a part of the show. You know, I get to travel to conventions and meet fans. It has certainly grown in its exposure since we moved to Netflix, and that is both publicly but also within our industry. So you do get more eyes on you, because, you know, most people just watch Netflix instead of live TV, you know. So I got to certainly meet just new people in the business who maybe weren't familiar with my work before, because I'm still kind of new, you know, to the industry, even though I've lived here for 10 years. Still kind of a newbie.
Still kind of a newbie. And on that note, Lesley, we'll turn it over to your character now for the last 30 seconds. Mazikeen, and she might enlighten all our audience why they should tune in tomorrow for season 5B of Lucifer, streaming on channel Netflix UK here in Ireland, and what's in store for them. Over to you.
Well, what's in store is a huge cliffhanger at the end. Lots of one of my best fights ever, me versus 10 guys shot in one shot. So I had to know the choreography from beginning to end and do it perfectly. Lots of highs and lows. And if you don't watch it, I will haunt you in your dreams because I am a demon.
That's a sort of a vengeful note to sort of
there you go. That's
on.
all you need. I'll shut up.
A smile, a sort of killer smile. Is that the sort of scenario to sign off the sort of interview? On that note, Lesley Ann Brandt, an absolute pleasure talking to you today as we look in joyful anticipation for the upcoming season 5B series of Lucifer, coming on channel Netflix UK on the 28th of May. And I suppose, Lesley, last thing for me to say is that you'll have to come back to Ireland someday and try out that rugby jersey and walk along the
I will. I cannot wait. I've never been to Ireland. I cannot wait to come and visit your beautiful country. The Irish and South Africans, we go way back, you know. So Got much love for Ireland.
On that note, Lesley, good day to you.
Thank you.